What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more J-drama score. Hello, Luca. Are you coming up? Apparently not. But yes, we're returning for another tune from the Ouroboros soundtrack, which, if you didn't know, I'm currently doing a watch-along of on my Patreon right now. It's a show from 2015. It mixes cold case detective drama with neo-noir crime type of story, but it also has a very human and emotional element, and in that regard, we're going to listen to the piano version of a tune I reacted to a couple of years ago. The original is called In Love, and this is the piano version of In Love, and as you might suspect, given that name and subtitle or remix title description, it is a piano-centric version of a tune that is already very sensitive and tender and feeling, and although the show at large has a lot of intrigue and violence and ruthless behavior by a number of figures, including the protagonists, it is also a story that has love and deep emotion along the way in spades. So yes, let's give it a listen as Luca is trying to figure out what's going on in the kitchen out there. But yes, this is Ouroboros, and it's Kimura Hideakira is the composer. The track is In Love piano version. there are a couple moments along the way where it really does pause and take a proverbial breath before then rolling back in, typically with a higher or lower articulation of the same melodic themes. So I wasn't sure as that was panning, or what's the right word. It wasn't really fading. It was like the resonance was slowly petering out until it really like got to the end and I realized it was in fact over. Which is a long way of saying there's a moment where I wasn't sure if there was one more time around. But yes, ultimately it's a beautiful tune. It is very much a sensitive and tender articulation of a track that in its original form is already sweet and tender. But yes, something about the solo piano just gives it this real soft intimacy, even though some of the chords are played with a bit of forte. Nevertheless, it has a warm, accepting type of feeling, which, given the track title, and I won't spoil anything, in part because I'm basically right in the middle of the watch along, and in some scenes where I think this is played, I think there are more scenes coming in which this is played, so I'll be relatively tight-lipped, but I will say there are scenes in relation to events long past where you hear this, and then there are scenes where you hear it in which I think the emotion is very fresh or is related to current events. So yes, ultimately it is a very touching piece. I think it's very well composed, and it's funny because there's a couple moments there where you can hear, I don't know if it's the movement of the feet down by the bottom of the pedals in the piano, or if it's someone breathing as they're playing. I don't know who the performer is, but yes, there's a couple moments where you can hear the ambient noise of the player at the piano, which I don't mind. I think that's, there's a very humanizing element to that, and in a track that has this type of character, I think it just adds to the intimacy of the sound. So yes, it's a top tune. Once again, shout out to Kimura Hideakira. It is a brilliant score overall. As I said, if you aren't familiar, I'm going through this show on my Patreon right now. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to the collection, as it's called, over on Patreon. And other than that, Luca and I will see you next time. Peace.